The UConn women are building off of their already impressive USA basketball resume. You're on the Hoops Cap.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah. UConn, baby. Home of the champions. Let's go.
All right. You're in on the Hoops Cap here with Mark Zanetto and our Friday co-host T. Baker. Yeah, T, like I really wanted to talk to you about this because it's already pretty impressive. Sarah Strong is, and Kaylee Heckle, we'll get to her from UConn building on their USA basketball legacy. She's already a 3-time FIBA under-18 Women's World Cup champion in 22, 23, and 24. What does this say about kind of the almost like the pipeline that's been created from past UConn players to now that we have Sarah kind of carrying the torch?
Yeah, it's a legacy that goes, to me in my head, I think right back to the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta with Rebecca Lobo kind of being a headline player, maybe not one of the best players on that team, admittedly, but also just like a player who brought fans in. I think dating back to that, there's been so many UConn players that have contributed to USA basketball. And of course, Geno Auriemma became the only coach to coach the national team in 2 Olympics in 2012 and 2016. So that legacy runs really deep. In a lot of ways, I think these organizations play similar styles of basketball, team-oriented basketball, really important to build those cultures. And so I love Sarah Strong as a 3x3 player. It's almost like she was built for it. And I could see her being on that 2028 Olympic team for the 3x3 game because of her style of play, because of her shooting ability at her size. So much of 3-on-3 basketball is about sort of like being positionless, being able to score points quickly in a lot of different ways. And that's what she does. So I see in her sort of the future of that 3x3 team as soon as, the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, and just another way that a UConn player has brought in a gold medal.
I don't know the answer to this question, so see if you can shed some light on this. If a player is on the 3-on-3 team, can they play on both? Or is it separate years like that they play, or do they play like separate? Explain how that works. I'm curious.
So my understanding, and I don't know if they can play, I don't know if it's like prohibited that they play both, but in my experience in watching the games and understanding and researching USA basketball, that hasn't been the case in the past. They've typically had the 3x3 players, stay on that 3x3 team, including, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. I think part of it is because to qualify as a 3x3 player, you have to play in a lot of tournaments beforehand. You have to earn a certain amount of points to be considered for the USA basketball roster in sort of like exhibitions. So you'll see a lot of those players training together, doing a lot of reps at 3x3 tournaments to gain that experience so that they can qualify. So I think it would be difficult to train for that Olympics and to compete in those many events. You need to earn points and also be on the 5-on-5 roster. So I think they try to keep it separate and to really develop players who they think would be good 3x3 players specifically.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious if she could be the first woman ever to do both. That would be kind of a cool, notch on the old UConn belt there to have the first player to do it. But also because I think Sarah is very capable of doing both almost seamlessly, and that's why that question persists. But that's cool.
5-team interestingly still has like more prestige. I think it's still considered like the gold standard. So I hope the 3x3 game gets there because it's a different game, but it requires a tremendous amount of talent and finesse and basketball IQ, and the stakes are really high. You could like lose a gold medal in 10 minutes, right? It's a really interesting game.
Yeah, it almost feels like I don't know what the word would be, but like it's kind of like the how like when we have Summer Olympics and there's like the regular volleyball and the beach volleyball. I'm sure the beach volleyball players all played indoors at some point, but their talent lies more so on the beach side, and like that's the separation. And I think that's kind of the probably what they were thinking about with this 3-on-3 tournament, because anybody that's ever hooped and ever played, there's a huge difference between running up and down on 5-on-5 and then or playing a half court 3-on-3. It's just from like a physicality standpoint. So like to your point, I think Sarah's game lends to both. But the fact that she could maximize her ability in like a half court, I think really kind of shows, that almost like special talent that she has. So I think you're right. I think she probably will be the most prolific 3-on-3 women's player of all time, considering how good of a player she is. So we'll see what the future holds for Miss Strong.
I don't have any doubts that she'll compete both on 3-on-3 and 5-on-5 one day, right? That's what we saw with Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young. They did the 3-on-3 and then they did the 5-on-5. I think sometimes the challenge could also be logistical. Like in the Paris Olympics, the 3x3 game was downtown, and then the 5-on-5 tournament was like an hour out of France, right? So there could be some logistical challenges, but I don't know. Maybe they'll make an exception for Sarah Strong because she's that talented.
That good.
Yeah.
She's that good.
Yeah.
Another and newer player to UConn is going to participate in USA basketball is just Kaylee Heckle. She'll be in the 2025 women's under 19 national team trials in Colorado Springs. Talk to me about like what that experience do you think will bring to Kaylee's game for next season for UConn?
Yeah, it brings another perspective of elite coaching. It gives her the chance to train with the best college athletes around the country. I think that's always been an advantage that UConn players have had because they are so intertwined with that USA basketball pipeline. We've seen a lot of players compete in these summer tournaments, U19, U20. And so just the ability to kind of develop her skill set, learn another system to China, just show that as a young player, she can learn multiple systems. It certainly just is an advantage for her time at UConn. The thing I always worried about, and knocking on wood here, is just injuries with these types of tournaments. A couple years ago, Geno Alfie, that's where she tore her Achilles, was one of these summer tournaments. Of course, she was representing Egypt, but that's something I just always keep an eye on. And injuries could happen anywhere. With Paige, it was like a pickup game, right? So
sure.
But just training smartly as well, and just understanding that pacing is part of being a professional athlete and making sure you take care of your body in these type of off-season tournaments as well.
No, without a doubt. We wish all of our UConn athletes and really all the athletes that are competing just good health, because even the crazy fans that don't like our show and think that we are UConn homers, it's okay. But we never want any teams that we play to have less than full strength teams, right? So, hopefully everybody has an injury-free summer, and we can go into the fall looking forward to, these top flight rosters. All right, when we return, we're going to talk about a topic that is probably people just can't stand sometimes, but I love it. The new numbers have been issued, and we got some. I think we have some great ones. Like it's, some of the new players I picked or were issued some fantastic numbers, some of the rookies, the freshmen that are coming in, and we're going to talk about that coming up after the break.
Big East Energy, Ryan Gresh here with the Feel Good Lab, and the same tools that we use to help elite athletes like Hassan Diarra, Nika Mule, and our very own Cam Spencer are the same things that we use to help people like you and I. People that want to optimize their overall health, feel a little bit younger, or are suffering from a chronic condition. And it's all about reducing inflammation, improving the nutrients in our body, and fixing our gut. And the way that we do that is not through a one-size-fits-all model. Everything is personalized. We offer products that are plant-based, natural, and help you identify the root cause. And oftentimes, we're looking at what's going into our body. So we have a food inflammation test, a gut microbiome test, so that we can treat you like an individual human that you are. And so the thing that we're the most excited about is actually connecting with you. Whether you're a UConn fan or not, please reach out, call us. We'd love to talk with you and see how we can help. Best in health.
All right, we're back on the Hoopscat Pod. This is Mark Zanetto. With me, as always, on Friday, we have T. Baker. This will come out on Monday, but he is my Friday co-host. So if you need anything from Ryan at the Feel Good Lab, make sure you check him out and use the promo code Big East Energy for 10% or 15% off at checkout. Wasn't sure on that one, but either way, it's there for you. All right, so these new numbers. I'm a numbers guy. Like, if you look at my little makeshift studio back here, I have my old, literally 12-year-old jersey from when I played Little League baseball, and I was number 32 and during that season. So some numbers just resonate. If I had to ask you, you're the best basketball player in the world, T, right now. I just granted you that wish. Boom. You're the best basketball player in the world. What number are you wearing?
Oh, I'm number 3, DT.
All right.
No
I love
question. Yeah. Former GOAT, current GOAT, me. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Number 3 all the way. What about you?
You know what's so funny? Real quick, but number 3, like how that permeates like through different cultures. Like I'm down here in the NASCAR capital of the world. What's number 3? That's a Dale Earnhardt thing. Like, you know what I mean? So like there are numbers that transcend sports, across different genres. So that's a great number. And 3 is also, I mean, I feel like you'd be a 3-point specialist. Like, so that might be the reason. T for 3, like that would be the line.
I think it's just you don't trust my abilities in the post, which I don't blame you for.
That may be true. That may be true. For me, this is childhood. This is silliness, but I always loved 7. It's always my favorite number. When I was younger, I never got it because I was always like the heftier, thicker child. So like they'd always give me the higher numbers, thus number 32. Everything always went by like sequential order of small to extra large, and typically I was in the larger extra large sizes as a youth. I remember one basketball year. It was like, do you want 55? I'm like, sure.
So jersey picks you, right?
Yep. So, but let's look at some of these numbers. So we have let's look at the newcomers, freshmen, and transfers. So you got Blanca Quinones, number 4. Thoughts? I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I first of all shout out to Daniel Connolly at UConn blog. Every year he puts together this list. Notably, he listed the most notable as Mariah Jefferson. So that is a throwback for me. I always like to, especially with UConn, think about the players who were before that legacy.
Sure.
So yeah, I like number 4, most recently Caden Samuels, but Blanca is going to hopefully make it her own. Maybe we'll see that hanging in the rafters one day. Who knows?
Maybe next to another number 4 in UConn history, Ben Gordon, who just had his number retired in the Ring of Honor on the men's side. So that would be a win-win there. And then with Khalees Fisher, my favorite number. She has number 7. I love that. I almost feel like that's like a perfect number for a point guard. That's probably why I wanted 7, because I always wanted to play point.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting this year, and we'll talk about Kaylee Heckle's number 9. These are the first times these numbers could be used. The NCAA granted permission to use jersey numbers 6 through 9 ahead of this season. I don't know why they were previously not used, but interesting. I think
that is weird.
00 or something, another one. Like there's just these numbers that have not been allowed before in the NCAA, and this is the first time they have been. So no former UConn players have worn either of those numbers, so they get to kind of create their own mark.
I love it. So on the women's side, number 00 and 0 are available, or no?
I think that they weren't, and now they are, but don't quote me on that one. I will look that up. I think, was Ruth Riley a 00? I remember something about that back in the day, but those are numbers that I want to look up. I'm curious why they weren't used. I know sometimes it's just about like not having clashing numbers with other programs. Who knows? But I got to look that piece up. I'm very surprised that 7 was not a number that was previously allowed.
Yeah.
It's like cultural popularity.
That's pretty wild, considering where Connecticut is, and I mean how many old school, I'm sure we have them in the audience, old school Yankee fans love that number because of Mickey Mantle, and like just number 7 is just an iconic number across the board. And then number 9, I am from hoops in general. I always think of 9 in the image that pops into my brain. I don't know if this is you, because in 1992, I was a 12-year-old kid. Dream Team Olympics. Who wore number 9? Michael Jordan. So number 9 always, like, it's kind of a rare Jordan kind of connection, but to me always pops in my head. And I think anytime someone wears 9, that's pretty cool, men or women. Like Michael Jordan to me is the quintessential GOAT.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, I like the 3 times 3. Like I said, my number is 3. So double, multiply that. So I'm into number 9 too. That would be probably my second choice if it wasn't 3.
I love it. Yeah, 9's a good one, and there's just something that like draws me to it. And then let's do Gandy Malumamel, 42. I love the number 42. A lot of cultural significance. Jackie Robinson. Someone like Mariano Rivera was a Hall of Famer for the Yankees. Like these are numbers that that matter to a lot of people. I wonder if there's any significance to Gandy, or if she seems like a pretty no nonsense gal. So she probably was just like, yeah, cool, 42. So
well, yeah, according to Daniel's reporting, she wore it in high school.
Okay.
Picked it when she was on the Irish youth national team.
Interesting.
And famously, Nikisha Sales wore this number. So one of course, a throwback there as well.
She's in my top 10 of my favorite players of all time. Nikisha Sales. I'm gonna text her Gandy's Irish partner in crime. I always call him Kieran Quinn, and ask him what if 42 has a significance or not, because he'll give me this straight. Like, it doesn't, he's Irish. He'll give me a colorful answer one way or the other. I love Kieran. I've had him on the show. He's fantastic. But she's actually the most excited I am about, and I feel like everyone probably feels the same way. Whenever you end up getting the veil pulled back on certain players from either a parent or a loved one or someone that works with them, you get excited about it because now you have like this vested interest. Listen, I love Azzi Fudd. We're about to play a video of her, balling out in New York, kind of showing some good workouts. But someone like Gandy is so intriguing to me because she's like a full 6'6", 6'7", and she runs like a deer. Like, she's not this whole, like, she's not like a laboring type. She's an incredible athlete. So I'm curious what her future is. If she plays a lot, maybe she doesn't. But either way, what a presence.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just an exciting player because I think Geno Auriemma, mentioned that she's a player that is raw, has some skills, but needs some developing. And so what I really like about that is UConn always does a great job with those types of players. You can see the growth year to year. I think she's the type of player that could just have a massive leap with the coaching staff at UConn. So that's what I'm really excited to see. Like, what is her ceiling? How can the UConn coaching staff maximize her height, but also develop and maximize her ability?
Without a doubt. And I think a player that we can talk about that's going to help her maximize her ability is Sarah Williams, someone that's been through it. In her number, another number I love, not as big of a number fan on the basketball court, no matter who's worn it. The number 22, mostly because, 21's taken from Sarah. Morgan Shelley has 23, but kind of that in between of those two kind of classic numbers in my respect. But 22's got some cachet too, and I like it. And Sarah, I think, reminds me again of a classic Geno Auriemma type player that's coming in, no nonsense, kind of hard hat, goes to work, puts her cap back on and goes, all right, now let's hang out, whatever. But she doesn't seem like she's the type of player that is going to be too much, flash, but she's going to get the job done. And I think she's going to be able to help players like Gandy, players like obviously Sarah Strong, to kind of help them develop even faster.
Yeah, and it's what you get when you bring in a player with experience. I think that's why part of Geno's strategy has always been to try to recruit players who have a couple years experience in college, because that experience does matter. You learn a lot about yourself. You have years of college development under your belt. So she's going to come in as a player who's already really talented, really experienced. And yeah, as for her numbers, like, as if it couldn't be more confusing with the Sarah Strong and Sarah Williams. Now their numbers are one away from
That's right. That's right.
But for Sarah Williams, I like the double number. I always like a double number, 22. So I'm into it.
I love it. All right, real quick, I'm going to play a video. This is Azzi Fudd working out in New York. This is straight from her TikTok. It's muted. We're not going to play the music in the background. For one, I don't want to get demonetized. I don't want someone to look at this and go, hey, you don't have rights to play that song. It's actually a pretty funny song. But anyway, here she is. This is Azzi working out. She'll say she's in good shape. She's knocking down jumpers. I want to play on that basketball court because I think it's overlooking parts of New York. I love that right there. That in particular, that move, I'm going to play that again. This is a move that I think she's going to really surprise people on. And I don't mean this because she hasn't had it in her bag already, but she just hasn't needed it because Paige has been on ball most of the time. If they give her some of those duties of pick and roll with Sarah or Sarah Williams, and she's able to do things like this, then everybody's in a lot of trouble, because we already know what Azzi's strength is, which is shooting the rock, but it's her ability kind of off the ball and the ability to create off the dribble. her mentor, idol, Steph Curry, who people have compared their shots to, his elevation from being a really good player in college to being a really good pro and then being an elite Hall of Famer came when he developed that kind of off the dribble 3-point shot that is kind of revolutionized basketball to a certain extent, at least on the men's side. And so that elevation, men or women, to be able to kind of enhance your game, not only as a spot shooter, being like getting a pass in the pocket, I think is going to be really kind of, get her to that next level where she's already a top 5 WNBA talent. Is she then a number 1 or number 2 pick overall? I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Azzi Fudd has always been like, what can she do when she's healthy? What can she do when she's healthy? And like we saw last year, or a couple months ago in the championship game, she got most outstanding player. We saw what she can do. It's not just that she has the quickest release in the game and can just really create her own shot without a lot of space. It's that she can drive to the basket. She moves without the basketball. She's got a high basketball IQ, and her mid-range game is something that I think is a little underrated when
1,000%.
we talk about her overall skill set. So, Azzi Fudd came into UConn with high expectations. I think her injury history, I think sometimes people can underplay the significance of an injury, right? It's not that you just heal and you're back to your old self. Like, you have to learn your body in a new way. You have to adjust how you've always done things. So to see her go through massive major injuries in high school, in college, and just always kind of struggle with that, I think towards the end of last year, we really saw what her ceiling could be. And I'm very excited to see what she does in her final year of UConn.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. She's shown a propensity to kind of get herself ready to go, and also another year to not have to worry about rehab, to kind of just go into the season strong, similar to what Paige had last year, not worrying about anything other than the game at hand and basically just getting yourself back to where you need to be. All right, real quick, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about this whole Civic Center XL People's Arena situation that's happening in downtown Hartford. We're going to talk after the break. All right, welcome to the Hoops Cap Pod again. Last segment of the program here with T. Baker, and of course Mark Zanetto, your host. Find us all on Big East Energy, the channel, and also check out BigEastEnergy.com. We're gonna have some new merch coming out. Big Hoops Energy t-shirts and hats that I'm gonna put out there, but that's for another day. The XL Center, what I like to call the Hartford Civic Center, kind of it's having a little bit of a transformation. They're doing renovations, and with that renovations, the XL Center naming rights came up, and I guess there was a bidding war. I'm not really sure, but it was renamed People's Bank Arena. Now, first time it's been changed since 2007. The deal is worth $20 million over 10 years. Number one, the financial impact of this, we'll talk about that, but more so on kind of like an interesting topic. Do you think when we're talking about corporate naming rights, really big time content here, corporate naming rights, but do you think that that's something that if you worked for People's Bank and they said, hey, we have an opportunity to put our name on what was then the XL Center, Hartford Civic Center, should we do it? And the price tag was $20 million over 10 years. Do you think they get their money's worth?
I mean, for me, I can speak to the side of like the sports organization, which is UConn in this case. Like, I think just taking that money anywhere you can get. I don't know if folks have seen that commercial recently where like kids are going up and getting their diplomas and they're called like Willie's Car Wash because they're sold their naming rights. Like, we just live in a world where that makes sense. For People's Bank, I mean, I don't know. Do they get to like have some other types of advantages besides the money? I don't really know how that all works. But in my head, like, I do think over time those names stick in your head. Like, to me, the crypto.com arena is always going to be Staples Center, and it makes me think of Staples every time. So like, is that paying off over time? Am I subliminally going to go to Staples more? I don't know. But I guess I think about it more from like what it does for UConn, which is bring in revenue that is increasingly important in a rev share world where they're not a Power 5 conference or Power 4, whatever's happening now. But I don't know. What do you think about that piece?
Well, there's I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I will in a second here. But I think they don't. But I also feel like it's not like it was like $100 million deal. Like for a bank of People's Bank size, which isn't a big bank, but it's like a mid-size, and it's a bank that's been around since I think like 1959 or something like that. Look, I think they get their money's worth, but it's I don't know what that means. I don't know what they're looking for. If it's like impressions, if it's how many times people are saying the name, because we're literally talking about it right now. But when I heard it, I told T pre-show that one of my old tennis coaches back in college, Jim Biggs, was essentially like the founder. And earlier, like when we were talking about this, he retired like officially in 2011. If you ever visit a bank that has a grocery store that has a bank in it, that was Jim Biggs' idea. And talk about a guy who could have played any sport in the world. Quick story. Everyone knows who Arthur Ashe is. He used to joke around. At that time, he was probably in his 70s when I was in college. So, he was an older gentleman. He goes, my best win was against Arthur Ashe. And I was just like, oh, really? I was like, when was that? And he told me the year, and he goes, but the kicker is Arthur was 14. And I think he was 21 at the time. And it's like, I guess he beat him like at like a futures tournament. So, yeah, I mean, like the guy lived an incredible life. So shout out Jim Biggs, probably salt of the earth dude. But People's Bank, I never banked there. Sorry, Jim, I never did. But I just don't know a ton of people that used it. Maybe it's more like a Southern Connecticut thing. I know it started in like Fairfield County. So like we're talking about Hartford, and we're talking more like the Massachusetts side. I think people on that side are kind of like, what? Where is that? I don't know.
I don't know about People's Bank, and I grew up in Connecticut, so I don't know. Maybe now I do. Now I do, and maybe it's all worth it.
But maybe I feel like it's not worth it because people still call it the Civic Center.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
call it what you want to call it, because you want to stay in the moment where it was special to you, and that for me was when I was younger and going to the Civic Center. So there's always that nostalgic piece. Like I remember just being a little sad when the Staples Center wasn't the Staples Center, even though I don't really have an emotional connection to it. I still have like Kobe and Shaq won at the Staples Center.
Right,
so, like,
that's true.
There's these cultural moments you associate with the arena, and so I still never really faithfully called it the XL Center, and that changed in 2007. So probably be calling it the Civic Center for years to come.
Without a doubt. And you make such a great point. Like whether it's, NFL, NBA, college, like all of the arenas that you grew up in, like whether they exist or not, you typically will call it that anyway. You know what I mean? Like whether like, even if they've been like bulldozed, like, like it's crazy. Like, so I don't know. I think it's one of those silly stories, but I think the only people that really drop the ball here are the people of the Hartford. How do you not put up $20 million or give them $22 million for 11 years and call it the Hartford Civic Center? Like, what are we doing here? Like, why wouldn't that be what you did there?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I think, what I'm interested in is there's these renovations, these upgrades. Like, to me, it's just been a little bit of a bummer to cover games there, to be honest with you, because it's just like it needed upgrades, like big time. So I'm curious to see, aesthetically how it looks different, the fan experience of going there. I don't mind that the games are in Hartford sometimes. Like I don't live on UConn's campus and have the issue of like, I can't get there, right? Like,
right.
But I just want the experience to be better than it has been. And I hope that that's what's coming with the new name is like these renovations, and the new fan experience will be better.
Well, hopefully the leaks are fixed, the seats are better, and you get more good food options. So maybe People's Bank will make that happen. So we'll see. But yeah, all in all, good off-season show here. UConn's basketball legacy and USA basketball, some new numbers, and of course, why wouldn't we talk about the People's Bank Arena? The show must go on there. All right, T, enjoy your weekend. Appreciate you as always. This has been another episode of the Hoops Cat Pod. We're out.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah. UConn, baby. Home of the champions.